Namaste
Namaste, Namaste
Techies!
Techies.
Namaste
Namaste
Harjit!
Anup. How's it going, buddy?
Great, going great. How are you?
How's India?
Yeah, India. We are almost there, right? We are vaccinating very quickly. Numbers are going down. Yeah,
Yeah.
good, good.
Happy Independence Day, by the way. It was a few days
Oh,
ago.
thank you very
Jai
much.
Hind.
Jai Hind.
Anyways. All right. So we got a good show today. And looks like we're going to switch over from temporarily from our Windows 365 uh, Cloud PC series to something awesome that just came out a couple of weeks ago. We're going to talk about Config Manager 2107, the latest and the greatest, the shiniest,
Yes.
right? So,
We are back to SCCM.
so there are some really neat features with this one, and a lot of improvements as well. And I know you wanna do a
Yep.
show and tell and talk about some bug
Let me
fixes and all that stuff, right?
let me try to share my screen and let me go through some of the interesting stuff
Right.
we have.
So
Hopefully, can.
so right now, for everyone, 2107 is available in the early update ring,
Mhm.
and you have to opt in with a PowerShell script as always. So if you are ready to move to 2107, or you want to check, is your site ready for it? If you want to check out the prerequisites to make sure that all the prerequisites are fine, you can do the early update ring and just do that and fix those things. The release for, what do you call that? Public release, or that should
Um,
be, maybe another week, maybe another 2 weeks. Um, you should start seeing that eventually in your portal. Okay, go
right.
ahead.
Okay, so thank you for the quick intro about the subject. So basically, I'm not going through the upgrade process, etc. Right? There are a
Right.
lot of there are videos, blog posts about that. Probably we can link that to the description of the video as normal, as usual, right? But I quickly want to share some of the prerequisites.
Yeah.
Microsoft made some changes or improvements over there also. They are recommending .NET version 4.8, right? Minimum .NET. It's not a hard requirement, but they are recommending that. So it is better to have 4.8 version of .NET
Right.
on your
Yeah.
servers, right? So
It's just
that
a warning so that the future versions of Config Manager will require 4.8. So
exactly.
it's better to get to it now than to do it later on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you might have EHTTP or HTTPS kind of warnings if you
Yeah.
have not enabled that. So ensure you enable those things to make your configuration manager more secure, right? Yeah, this is the one, right? The Microsoft Visual C++
Yeah.
2015 2019, right? Redistributable the redistributable application, right? So this is also required. This is also required for the MP thing, right? So if you are having a trouble with the installation of or upgrade of management point, a remote management point, then probably you need to make sure you have this version of Microsoft
Visual C++.
Visual C++
Yeah.
2015 2019, right? So that I have explained that over here also. So
Hmm.
I think I forgot. Yeah, Matthias shared this tip, and this is also documented in Microsoft release notes also for 2007, right? So let's go back to console and I will show you some kind of changes and new features
Hmm.
that Microsoft introduced in a 2107 version, right? So first thing first, let me go to administration and I'm searching for co-management, right?
Yeah,
So
that
co-management
changed.
node is not there, right?
Right.
So Microsoft changed it and renamed it to Cloud Attach. I think from my perspective, I think that's a good change, and it avoids some confusions
Hmm.
between co-management and Cloud Attach. What is the exact difference, etc., etc. Right? So this is all under one workflow, I would say, at the moment, right? So
Yeah.
that's good, right? Okay, now if I can quickly go into assets and complaints and show some collections, right? So for example, if I want to show, I don't know which collection I would go for. Okay, let me go ahead and open this particular collection, and this is pretty useful in my perspective. If I go to membership rules and if I try to edit this query, right, and if I edit query statement, you would be able to see an interesting scenario over here, right? So the syntax is more clear in this, right? You can see some similar to SQL Management Studio, right?
Yeah.
In the SQL Management Studio, you can see select in blue and your variable names as in red, etc., etc., right? Constant values are in red, etc., etc., right? So that's they have introduced that in this 2107 version of configuration manager. And not only this, right? If you open in code editor, click on this button, you would be able to see a new code editor, right?
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's cool, right?
That's really cool.
uh, yeah, and over here, this is uh, here you can see um, PowerShell, JavaScript, VB script, any kind of syntax you can use this for this. You can use this, right? So, for example, if some part of your configuration manager is using PowerShell, then you can use this code
Yes.
editor for that also, right? And if some part of your I don't know your configuration manager console is using a KQL, that is something like similar to CM pivot queries, right?
Yeah.
So you can use that also. That's very pretty much
Yeah. This is similar to
useful.
Notepad plus plus.
Yeah,
When you're doing that, you can choose. Let's say PowerShell, it creates the right formatting for you and stuff like that.
yeah,
So it's really cool.
yeah. That's good. So let me go to WQL and close this. And another thing what they have introduced in this particular version is, if I go to devices, okay, if I go to devices and if I go to collections, from collections, what you can do is you can right click and directly go to that collection.
Mm.
Okay, that's interesting, right? So this is kind of a known bug. Sometimes I see it with this. Okay, if I want to kind of reproduce it with some other collection, let me try this collection. It works sometimes. Okay, for this it worked, right? But if I go again and use the same collection, let me use the same, sorry, device. Okay. And if I go to collections over here, and if I click on this, maybe the same collection, this one. Okay. And if I click on this, you can see it is working now, right? Earlier it was not working.
Yeah.
Okay. So for some devices it is not working. So for example, this is a kind of non-client device. Okay, client is no. And if I go to collections and if I go to this particular thing and check this, it says error. But it is a good feature, right? At least probably this error will get fixed. The one more thing which I want to share is about the CM pivot, right? So
Hmm.
if you go to CM pivot, launch CM pivot, um, you can see an interesting thing over here. If I go to query, and this is the favorite saved queries, right, or favorite
Right.
queries, right? If I click on this, and if I click the first one, right, so this is a known issue at the moment, right? The bad input slash r, or yeah, that is coming automatically. This letter and slash is getting added to all the favorite queries, right? So
Hmm.
this is non kind of bug. Microsoft already documented this, and I have also highlighted this in the non-issues blog post, which I shared. So this is one issue I already showed, and this is okay. This is the issue
Right
with
there. Yeah.
task sequence policies, right? And this is the issue with the syntax. Yeah. So this is one which, and the other one is related to CI, right? So what is happening is basically after 21 or 7 upgrade, okay. Um, what is happening is it is adding the support for Windows 11, right? So by default, some of the scenarios for some of the objects, right, by default Windows 11 is getting added.
Right.
If you check the scope supported platform, by default Windows 11 is getting added. So probably you need to be a bit careful, and probably you might need to remove Windows 11 if that is not needed for your environment. So at the moment it's not an issue because we don't have Windows 11 in production, right? It's
Right.
only inside a version, but probably in future this will get fixed, right? Features, yeah, maintenance window devices. From the device collections you can see a new option called maintenance window, right? Let me try to check that. And if you go to device collections you can see a column called maintenance window over
Yeah,
here.
that is very
So
helpful.
that's, yeah, that is very helpful, and you can see like whether collection is associated with any
Hmm.
maintenance window or not, right? So I don't think this is by default there, but you need to
You have to select it.
yeah, select it basically. Okay. um
The
uh,
one new feature in 2107 that is, I think is very useful is the application, um,
ah,
right? The
yeah,
uninstaller,
implicit
yeah, implicit.
implicit uninstall, yeah, that's
Exactly.
cool. Yeah, i have I have done that for some of the application. I don't remember which one it is.
Right.
I think it is 7.
I
So
think that the concept here is this, right? So when you deploy applications to your collections, now they have it. And if you want to uninstall, let's say from one machine or 50 machines or whatever, you either have to create another installer to uninstall and so on and so forth, and then deploy it to that collection or sub collection. But how this works is that by just removing the devices from the collection that you deployed the application, it will implicitly uninstall it. It's
yeah,
it's a different method of doing it.
exactly. So
So
let me try to find out that.
yeah, I know you have a blog post on that too.
Yeah, I forgot where it is exactly.
Yeah,
Okay, so this is the one I think.
yeah.
And if I go down over here, you can see uh, somewhere here,
Hmm.
uninstall program. Okay, so this is the one, right? Let me enlarge. So this is the option, right?
Yep.
Uninstall this application if the targeted object falls out of the collection. So that is
Right.
what you explained.
Yes.
Few,
So
right?
you have to select that. It's not selected by default.
Yeah.
You have to select that when you're deploying that application.
Yep. I
I
think.
mean, it's useful, in my opinion, for if you're doing a lot of testing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
you want to learn about behaviors, and you want to, you know, say, hey, I'm going to push these 5 applications because I need to test it before we go production in 2 weeks or something like that. But then now you want to restart again, you can just pull those devices out of that collection, and it should work. It should do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, and also Microsoft, I think Microsoft product group learned that people are kind of creating install collections, then uninstall collections,
Yes.
right? And that is kind of increasing the decreasing the performance
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
right? So to avoid that kind of a scenario, probably this would be useful, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I think that is it from my side. I just
Yeah.
wanted to quickly share all these points. So hope
My my
this
my
was
one
useful.
observation about 2107, the upgrade to 2107,
Uh-huh.
uh, it did take a very long time to do the download for it. Like once you do the PowerShell script to do the update ring, it shows up immediately in your console.
Mhm.
And then when the first thing it'll say is ready for download. And when you say go ahead and download, it could take a very long time to download. And I noticed that in my environment. It might not be true for everybody,
Uh-huh.
uh, but that's what I noticed. Uh,
Yeah, I think that there is some changes in terms of that also
mhm.
in Microsoft in Microsoft documentation. I read that somewhere.
Yeah,
Okay, over here. Probably I have mentioned that somewhere because they changed the connectivity. They have added one more thing, something like in service connection point,
connection
right?
point.
You need
Yeah.
to have one more URL. Yeah, this is the one, right?
Yes.
So this
Yes.
is the
That's it.
change they have done. So probably this could be one of the reason we are kind of seeing some kind of delay or something like
Right.
that, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So
Yep.
you need to make sure that this particular URL is accessible from your service connection point server or site server, right?
Yeah.
Site system server.
You need to
So
allow that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I think that's probably what took mine a long time.
uh,
Um,
could be possible. Yeah.
yeah. So, but those are good things to keep in mind. So, I think the takeaway is make sure you have check your Visual C++. If you can upgrade to .NET 4.8, that would be ideal. Going long, to the future
Yeah.
releases, and
And
I
Visual
think a
C++
lot of
plus
people.
plus is another thing. Visual C++.
Yes,
Plus plus. Yeah.
Visual C++. Yep, and then also it'll. I of the opinion that you should actually try to get it in your console. At least you can run the prerequisites. If you're not ready for 21.7, that's fine. You're not obligated to install it. Just run the prerequisites, just gives you an idea whether your environment is ready for it or not. Like, for example, you may have some SQL things you have to change. You may have the HTTPS requirements that are not met and things like that. So at least you can target those things now and start fixing those things. Then run the prerequisite check in another few days or a week or whatever. And then that should just you should be all green and ready to
Yeah.
go. So
Yeah, that's really good tip, because I normally ask the operations team to do prerequisite check one
yes,
week before the upgrade or something, so that like they will have enough time to fix all these
right.
issues, right?
I think the problem is people have the idea that if they actually bring in the latest version of Config Manager into their console, that it's going to install it. It's not true. I mean, you can have 2 versions in there and still not apply it, right?
Yeah.
Um, uh, so I just feel like you should eventually try to go to the newer version as at some point because it brings in a lot of new features. It has fixed a lot of bugs, and you may have had other things that haven't been working well, and it's probably fixed in this release. So
Yeah.
you can always set up a separate environment for testing. And I'm not talking about just a tech preview. I'm talking about the actual production version of config manager, but just separate it out in a lab, like, just to see how it works without attaching any clients or, that sort of a thing. So that's what I was doing.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Normally, I recommend the same for most of the organizations and
Right.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can always run your upgrades on that test
Yeah.
environment
Yeah.
and just see, hey, is it taking long, or do I need to add that URL, and how long this process took. So it gives you an idea when you do your production,
Yeah.
hey, we're going to be down for 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, this is good. We'll probably look into more awesome things to share from Config Manager 2107, and
Yep.
and then get back to some Intune things as well. So,
And
all right. So until
good.
next time, you know where to find us.
Yeah. And don't forget to share, subscribe is the first thing, and then share, like, and whatever you want,
And
right?
promote and promote
Yeah,
us.
promote.
Yeah. And don't forget to give us your feedback and
Yeah.
communicate with us. And we're always happy to hear from you. And thank you for being our loyal followers, and letting us do this stuff to share our skills and knowledge with all of you. So, all right.
Thank you very
Until
much.
next time. Namaste.
Namaste.